The 7 diamond-shaped vessels appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. Global defense systems went to maximum alert as panic spread across continents. News channels broadcast the same footage. Alien ships hovering over major cities, their crystalline structures reflecting sunlight in hypnotic patterns. Dr. Elena Reyes stood before the wall of screens in NASA's communication center, dark eyes fixed on incoming transmission patterns. As Earth's foremost xenolinguist, she had spent 15 years preparing for this moment. "It's structured," she whispered, fingers tracing oscillating patterns. Mathematical sequences repeating across multiple frequencies. Within hours, screens worldwide displayed a humanoid figure with iridescent blue skin and multifaceted eyes. It spoke, and thanks to Elena's preliminary algorithm, humanity heard its first words from beyond. "We are the Galactic Confederation. Your world stands in the path of destruction. You have one planetary rotation to decide." In Washington, D.C., representatives from world powers gathered in emergency summit. Captain Marcus Chen of the newly formed Space Defense Force stood behind his superiors, watching as the alien delegation teleported directly into the secure chamber, bypassing all of Earth's defenses. High Commander Zaxterian of the Arcturian Dominion explained their presence. A force known as the Scourge is consuming worlds across the galactic arm. They do not negotiate. They show no mercy. A holographic display showed a distant world under attack. Cities burning. Massive ships deploying weapons that reduced continents to ash. The recording ended with the planet's crust cracking, its atmosphere boiling away. "This was Proxima Centauri, more advanced than your civilization in every way," Zaxterian continued. "They fell 3 Earth years ago. The Scourge approaches your sector now." The terms were simple. Earth could join the Confederation as a protected member, contributing resources and troops to the war effort. The alternative was facing the Scourge alone. While escorting Confederation representatives later that evening, Captain Chen deliberately took a wrong turn outside a secure conference room. His military implant recorded their conversation without translation devices. When decoded hours later, the truth became clear. The Confederation saw humans as disposable assets, barely spacefaring primitives, useful only as cannon fodder to slow the Scourge advance, while civilized species prepared their real defenses. Commander Zaxterian's voice stood out. "Deploy the humans in the Orion defensive line. Their losses will buy us time to evacuate the Pleiadian archives. Their planet has significant mineral resources we can harvest afterward, regardless of population survival rates." When the United Earth government signed the Confederation Treaty the next day, Captain Chen stood at attention behind Earth's president. His face revealed nothing, but his eyes tracked Commander Zaxterian with calculated intensity. "Captain, your species will provide 20,000 troops within 1 of your months," Zaxterian stated afterward. Chen nodded sharply. "We'll be ready, Commander. And I promise you, humanity will surprise you." The alien's multifaceted eyes reflected Chen's determined expression. "Somehow, Captain, I believe you might." Neither knew it yet, but that conversation marked the beginning of humanity's rise from expendable allies to the decisive force in the greatest war the galaxy had ever known. 6 months after Earth joined the Galactic Confederation, the human contingent had been relegated to the fringes of the war effort. Stationed at remote outposts with outdated equipment, they were the expendable line between Confederation core worlds and the advancing Scourge. Major Chen, recently promoted, commanded Outpost Theta 9, orbiting a gas giant in the Barnard's star system. The facility housed 300 human soldiers and a skeleton crew of Confederation technicians who barely concealed their disdain. When alarms blared through the station, Lieutenant Dias sighed. "Another drill." Chen checked the tactical display. "No, battle stations. This is not a drill." Before they fully mobilized, the station's Confederation commander, a crystalline entity named Xirax, burst into the command center. "Scourge attack fleet approaching. All non-essential personnel to evacuation vessels. essential Confederation staff to secure critical technology for immediate withdrawal. Chen stepped forward. And my people. Vizirax's crystalline form flickered. Human forces will deploy to defensive positions to cover the evacuation. Reinforcements have been requested but may not arrive before station integrity is compromised. The meaning was clear. The humans were to be sacrificed. Once Vizirax departed, Chen gathered his officers. Lieutenant Diaz, coordinate with other human contingents in the sector. Captain Rodriguez, prepare for space warfare. Full vacuum gear and maneuvering packs. We're implementing Tactical Plan Zulu. Plan Zulu was a strategy Chen had developed in secret. A mobile defense using the Confederation's shuttlecraft as weapon platforms. It directly contradicted Confederation doctrine of static defense and orderly retreat. As the Scourge vessels emerged, massive ships bristling with biological weapons pulsing with sickly green energy, the Confederation forces fell into their prescribed formations. Fixed weapon emplacements powered up while evacuation ships prepared for departure. The human forces were nowhere to be seen in their assigned positions. The Scourge attack began with devastating efficiency. Their first volley disabled half the station's defenses. The second targeted the evacuation vessels. Just as Scourge boarding craft approached, dozens of maintenance shuttles and mining vessels, retrofitted with improvised weapons, emerged from behind the gas giant's largest moon. While the Scourge had focused on the station's known defenses, they were unprepared for the swarm of small craft attacking their flank. The shuttles, piloted with reckless precision, targeted propulsion systems and weapon nodes. On the command ship, Warlord Krax observed with 6 eyes narrowing in curiosity. What manner of species employs such chaotic tactics? They are called humans, Warlord, a newly discovered species from a backwater planet. One human shuttle deliberately collided with a Scourge boarding craft, detonating its fuel cells in a kamikaze attack. These creatures fight like cornered predators, Krax noted. The battle raged for hours instead of the anticipated minutes. Human forces suffered heavy casualties but succeeded in their primary objective, buying enough time for evacuation vessels to escape with Confederation personnel and critical data. 3 days later, when Confederation reinforcements arrived, they expected to find only debris. Instead, they discovered surviving human shuttles in defensive formation around a makeshift command center constructed from salvaged components. Major Chen, injured but unbowed, stood at attention as Commander Zaxterian arrived. Your orders were to hold defensive positions, Zaxterian stated. My orders were to defend the evacuation, Chen corrected, which we accomplished. By abandoning Confederation combat doctrine. By adapting to the situation, Chen countered. The Scourge expected your doctrine. They weren't prepared for humans. For the first time, Zaxterian regarded Chen not with condescension, but with something approaching respect. Perhaps we have underestimated your species, Major. That's the first mistake everyone makes when dealing with humans, Commander, Chen replied. I suggest it be the last. 1 year into the war, the Confederation was steadily losing ground. Despite technological superiority, their rigid tactics were predictable to the advancing Scourge forces. 7 major systems had fallen in as many months. In the crystalline spires of Arcturus Prime, the Confederation War Council convened an emergency session. Colonel Chen, promoted after the now legendary defense of Theta 9, was the first human ever invited to attend. The Scourge anticipates our every move, General Vrex announced, his gelatinous form rippling with distress. Our secure communications are compromised. Dr. Elena Reyes, recently appointed as Earth's scientific liaison, stepped forward. I believe I have a solution. The aliens regarded her skeptically. We've confirmed the Scourge can decode all known Confederation encryption, she explained. But they cannot predict what they cannot understand. On the central display, she demonstrated her new encryption system based on human cultural references, idioms, and constantly evolving slang. While mathematically sound, it incorporated elements no alien mind could intuitively grasp. The beauty of human language, she explained, is its illogical nature. We say it's raining cats and dogs when precipitation is heavy. We name military operations after our children's toys. The Scourge AI cannot make these connections. While the council deliberated, Colonel Chen was implementing another human innovation. On the contested moon of Proxima IV, he assembled the 1st Human Legion Battalion, an elite force trained in Earth's diverse combat methods. Confederation doctrine teaches fixed formation and direct engagement, Chen told his officers. The Scourge has adapted. We need to be unpredictable. The Legion began cross-training alien allies in guerrilla warfare, ambush tactics, and psychological operations, concepts foreign to the highly ordered Confederation military. On the science vessel Luminous Inquiry, the Arcturian researcher Xtaltor was studying human physiology with increasing fascination. Most species evolve toward specialization, he explained to his colleagues. Humans evolved for adaptability. They survived ice ages, meteor impacts, and their own nuclear mistakes. Their planet's biodiversity and chaotic environment created beings uniquely suited for warfare. He displayed comparative brain scans. They process fear differently. Where we seek to eliminate threats systematically, humans become more creative under pressure. They improvise solutions no algorithm could predict. The first test of these human innovations came at the Battle of Rigel's Belt. A Scourge flotilla encountered what appeared to be a routine Confederation convoy. When they moved to intercept, the convoy scattered in seemingly random patterns. Confused by the non-standard maneuver, the Scourge commander hesitated. That moment was all the hidden human legion needed. Emerging from concealed positions within the asteroid field, they struck with synchronized precision. For the first time in the war, a Scourge fleet was completely destroyed without a single Confederation capital ship being lost. News of the victory spread rapidly. More alien commanders began requesting human advisors. More alien soldiers volunteered to train with the Legion. In his private chambers, Warlord Krax reviewed footage of the battle, his exoskeletal fingers tapping rhythmically. These humans continue to surprise us, he told his advisors. Analyze every human battle in their history. I want to understand how they think. His second-in-command hesitated. Is one primitive species worth such attention, Warlord? Krax's 6 eyes narrowed. They may be primitive, but they are dangerous precisely because they do not think as we do. The Confederation was predictable. Humans are not. That makes them the greater threat. The humans have become problematic, Warlord Krax announced to his war council. Their unpredictable tactics disrupt our strategic models. They must be eliminated. Intelligence reports confirmed the Scourge had changed course. Their main fleet now advanced directly toward Earth. Colonel Chen received the news while reviewing Legion training on Proxima IV. They're targeting our homeworld to break Confederation morale, he told his officers. But they've made a critical error. They've become predictable. Within hours, Chen presented a counteroffensive to the Confederation High Command, Operation Thermopylae. You propose abandoning 7 systems to concentrate forces here, Commander Zaxterian said, indicating a narrow spatial corridor between binary stars. This sacrifices significant territory. Territory we would lose anyway, Chen countered. The Scourge believes we'll defend Earth directly. Instead, we'll strike where they don't expect. General Vrex's gelatinous form pulsed with disapproval. Your plan relies on outdated tactics from your planet's history. It's primitive and suicidal. The Battle of Thermopylae occurred 2,500 years ago, Chen explained. 300 Spartans held off a Persian army of thousands by forcing them through a narrow pass. We'll do the same in space. The council voted against the plan 11-1, with only Zaxterian abstaining. Ambassador Julia Ortiz, Earth's diplomatic representative, requested emergency audience with the Confederation Supreme Council. Once a prosecutor in international courts, she brought evidence that Confederation defensive doctrine had failed in 23 consecutive engagements. The definition of insanity, she argued, is doing the same thing repeatedly and expecting different results. Colonel Chen offers a new approach. We request autonomy in military decisions regarding Earth's defense. After heated debate, the Council granted limited autonomy. The Human Legion would operate independently but receive minimal resources. Chen didn't wait. The Legion deployed to the binary star system, using the intense gravitational forces and radiation to mask their movements. They positioned antimatter mines throughout the corridor and modified Confederation carriers into masking ships that projected false sensor readings. When the Scourge fleet arrived, they detected what appeared to be Earth's full defensive force arrayed before them. Their forward vessels surged into the corridor, weapons charged. The first wave of Scourge ships triggered the mines. The corridor became a killing zone as Legion forces opened fire from concealed positions within the binary star's coronas, positions that should have been uninhabitable due to radiation. Impossible, Warlord Krax muttered, watching his frontline vessels disintegrate. No species can operate in such conditions. His lieutenant displayed the explanation. Human ships had been modified with makeshift radiation shielding, sacrificing life support and comfort for tactical advantage. The crews were suffering radiation exposure but fighting on regardless. The battle raged for 30 hours. The Legion lost 40% of its forces, but the Scourge retreated for the first time in the war. Their advance toward Earth halted. In the aftermath, Confederation command was stunned. The Legion had achieved what their forces couldn't in 3 years of conflict. These humans are more valuable than we realized, Zaxterian admitted to the Council. Perhaps it's time we truly incorporated them into our strategic planning. As for Warlord Krax, he destroyed the communication device after receiving the battle report. Divert 30% of our forces from the Pleiades campaign, he ordered. The humans must be dealt with first. They've become too dangerous to ignore. 2 years into the war, humanity had evolved from cannon fodder to critical asset. The victory at Thermopylae earned Earth full Confederation membership and Admiral Chen, newly promoted, unprecedented authority. In orbit around Saturn, the Human Legion headquarters buzzed with activity. Engineers modified Confederation technology in ways that horrified their alien counterparts but produced remarkable results. Weapons designed for precision were reconfigured for overwhelming force. Defense systems meant to last centuries were pushed beyond safety limits for twice the output. "You're voiding the warranty," joked Lieutenant Commander Diaz as alien technicians watched humans disassemble a Confederation cruiser's engine core. "Can't void what we never had," Admiral Chen replied. "The Scourge won't wait for us to build perfect ships." More surprising than humanity's technical adaptations was the Legion's changing composition. What began as an all-human force now included members from 7 Confederation species. Aliens who recognized the Legion's success requested transfers, eager to learn human combat doctrines. On the diplomatic front, Dr. Elena Reyes made a critical discovery. Analyzing captured Scourge communication devices, she identified their greatest weakness. Their entire society functions on absolute hierarchy, she explained to the War Council. Orders flow downward only. Subordinates never question superiors, ever. "How is this a weakness?" asked Exaltor. "Their unity gives them strength. It makes them vulnerable to confusion," Rice countered. "They cannot handle contradictory orders. Their minds literally cannot process the concept of insubordination." The Legion immediately implemented Operation Babel, a psychological warfare campaign broadcasting contradictory commands on Scourge frequencies. Simultaneously, infiltration teams with forged command signatures inserted conflicting orders into their communication networks. The effects were devastating. Scourge battle groups turned on each other. Supply lines broke down as logistics officers received multiple contradictory destinations. For creatures who had never questioned authority, the situation was psychologically paralyzing. Aboard his flagship, Warlord Krax executed his 3rd commander in a week. "Explain how humans penetrated our command structure." His intelligence officer trembled. Their understanding of our psychology exceeds our models, Warlord. They exploit weaknesses we didn't know existed. They are primitives. Cracks rage. Primitives who think differently, the officer replied carefully. Our strength is order. Theirs is chaos. As the scourge faltered, the Confederation Council granted humans unprecedented authority. Admiral Chen now commanded not just the Legion, but coordinated all military operations across 3 sectors. Confederation species that once looked down on humans now eagerly adopted their tactics and technologies. Earth itself transformed into a fortress world, surrounded by defensive platforms combining Confederation technology with human ingenuity. The planet that once seemed doomed to be a footnote in galactic history was becoming its center. In his private quarters, Admiral Chen studied tactical displays, showing Legion forces pushing Scourge fleets back across multiple fronts. Victory seemed possible for the first time. A communication alert interrupted his thoughts. The projected image showed Warlord Cracks himself. Admiral Chen, the Scourge leader, hissed. You have inconvenienced me greatly. Chen maintained a neutral expression. More than just inconvenience, I hope. Your species' interference cannot be tolerated. I am coming for your world personally. Prepare for extinction. The transmission ended abruptly. Chen immediately activated emergency protocols. The Scourge rarely made direct threats. When they did, annihilation followed. Earth's darkest hour approached. Warlord Cracks assembled the largest battle fleet in Scourge history, 15,000 vessels converging on a single target. Earth. Confederation early warning systems detected the armada too late. By the time Admiral Chen ordered planetary defenses activated, the first wave of Scourge ships was already breaching Earth's outer security perimeter. Evacuation protocols for all civilian centers. Chen ordered from Legion headquarters in Geneva. All planetary defense grids to maximum power. The sky darkened as Scourge vessels entered atmosphere, their biological weapons turning clouds toxic green. Orbital defense platforms fired desperately but were overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Earth's recently constructed defensive shield flickered and failed under concentrated bombardment. Chen coordinated the defense from New Delhi Command Center after Geneva was hit. They're targeting population centers first, he reported to the Confederation Council. Request immediate reinforcements. All available forces are engaged elsewhere. Commander Zaxterian responded. The Scourge launched simultaneous diversionary attacks across 6 sectors. The brutal truth became clear. Earth had been isolated deliberately. The Scourge had studied human tactics and adapted. They'd learned from their defeats. As Scourge ground forces deployed in major cities, Admiral Chen led a desperate defense of New Delhi with a mixed battalion of Legion veterans and civilian volunteers. The battle raged through streets and buildings, humans fighting with a ferocity that shocked even their Scourge opponents. In the command center's ruins, Chen faced a Scourge commander in direct combat. He prevailed but suffered catastrophic injuries. As medical teams rushed him to an evacuation vessel, Scourge forces overran the city. Within days, Earth's organized military resistance collapsed. Major population centers fell under Scourge control. Surviving Legion forces scattered to hidden mountain bases and underwater facilities. The planet that had given the Confederation hope now faced extinction. But something unexpected happened. As Scourge occupation forces established control, they encountered a phenomenon their tactical simulations hadn't prepared them for: civilian resistance. Humans who had never held weapons fashioned improvised explosives from household chemicals. Farmers disrupted supply lines. Children acted as scouts and messengers. The Scourge, accustomed to species surrendering once their military fell, couldn't comprehend the continued resistance. In Seoul, 12-year-old Min Ji Kim destroyed a Scourge tank with a homemade thermite charge, allowing 50 civilians to escape a processing center. Helmet camera footage of her standing defiantly before the burning wreckage was transmitted across Confederation networks, becoming a symbol of human resilience. From her hidden laboratory beneath the Alps, Dr. Reyes made a critical discovery. They're adapting to our tactics, studying human warfare and psychology. But they still can't understand our independent thinking. Each human resists differently. While official resistance appeared crushed, Earth became a quagmire for occupation forces. Scourge commanders reported inexplicable equipment failures, contaminated supplies, and constant guerrilla attacks. Their rigid command structure couldn't adapt to fighting an enemy that operated without central coordination. In his flagship orbiting the conquered planet, Warlord Krax received increasingly desperate reports from ground commanders. His victory was proving costlier than anticipated. These humans continued to resist despite certain defeat, his puzzled lieutenant reported. They know they cannot win, yet they fight on. Krax studied the reports with growing unease. They don't need to win, he realized. They only need to ensure we lose. 6 months after Earth's devastation, Admiral Chen emerged from medical regeneration. His body was rebuilt with cybernetic enhancements, but the steel in his eyes remained purely human. Status report, he demanded, standing for the first time since the Battle of New Delhi. Earth's population is at 42% pre-invasion levels, reported Commander Dias. Scourge occupation controls major urban centers. Resistance fighters hold the mountains and remote regions. And the Legion? Scattered but operational. We've established hidden bases in 17 systems. Dr. Rice coordinates from the Arcturus scientific outpost. Chen studied the galactic map, noting Scourge expansion patterns. They're overextended, he observed. Warlord Krax sacrificed strategic position for the symbolic victory of taking Earth. His first act was not to plan a direct counterattack, but to convene what remained of the Legion's command structure, a mix of humans and aliens now bonded by shared combat and loss. We cannot defeat the Scourge through conventional warfare, Chen told them. We don't have the numbers or resources, but history provides another path. He displayed Earth's historical resistance movements. French resistance, Filipino guerrillas, Afghan fighters, groups that defeated technologically superior forces through asymmetric warfare. We don't need to reclaim territory, Chen explained. We need to make their occupation unsustainable. Operation Phoenix launched simultaneously across occupied systems. Legion cells targeted Scourge command structures rather than military assets. Supply depots mysteriously exploded. Communication relays failed. Occupation commanders received contradictory orders or false intelligence. Dr. Rice enhanced these efforts with sophisticated psychological warfare. The Scourge hierarchy is their greatest vulnerability, she explained to infiltration teams. Every confusing order, every unexplained failure makes their commanders question subordinates. They cannot comprehend rebellion within their ranks, so they suspect treachery. The results exceeded expectations. Paranoid Scourge commanders executed trusted officers. Supply chains collapsed as units refused to share resources. The rigid hierarchy that had made the Scourge unstoppable was unraveling. On his flagship, Warlord Krax executed his 4th sub-commander in a month. Explain these failures, he demanded of his trembling intelligence officer. The humans fight unlike any species we've encountered, the officer replied. They don't defend territory. They strike and disappear. They prioritize chaos over conquest. Find their central command and destroy it. That's the problem, Warlord. They have no central command. Each resistance cell operates independently according to general principles. Destroy one, 2 more appear. Krax smashed a control panel in rage. They are primitive creatures. How do they coordinate without hierarchy? Meanwhile, Admiral Chen implemented the final phase of Operation Phoenix. Legion forces didn't attempt to liberate Earth directly. Instead, they targeted the Scourge's interstellar logistics network, the supply lines feeding their massive occupation force. A fleet is only as strong as its supply chain, Chen told his officers, quoting ancient Earth military doctrine. As Scourge resources dwindled across occupied territories, their forces became increasingly isolated and vulnerable. What began as minor insurgency transformed into coordinated rebellion across dozens of worlds. The tide was turning, but Chen knew the hardest battle still lay ahead. Warlord Krax would never surrender. The Scourge homeworld remained untouched. The path to final victory would require the greatest gamble yet. The combined Confederation fleet, now proudly calling itself the Galactic Union, gathered at the edge of Scourge territory. 3,000 ships representing 27 species assembled for humanity's most audacious plan, a direct assault on the Scourge homeworld. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, his cybernetic eye scanning tactical displays. Legion intelligence had identified a critical weakness in the Scourge defense grid, a vulnerability that existed precisely because the Scourge believed their homeworld impregnable. They've never been invaded, Chen told his commanders. They've never had to truly defend their own world. The plan was quintessentially human. Use the Scourge's arrogance against them. While the main fleet engaged their orbital defenses in a conventional battle, specialized infiltration teams would disable their planetary shield generators from within. As the Union fleet emerged from FTL, the Scourge homeworld loomed before them, a massive planet wrapped in artificial defenses that had deterred attackers for millennia. All ships, execute battle plan Odysseus, Chen ordered, invoking the ancient Greek hero who conquered Troy through cunning rather than force. The battle erupted across space. Legion vessels, piloted by mixed crews of humans and aliens who had adopted human tactics, executed maneuvers the Scourge prediction algorithms couldn't anticipate. Meanwhile, stealth ships slipped through the chaos, delivering infiltration teams to the planet's surface. On his command fortress, Warlord Krax watched his impenetrable defenses falter. Impossible, he hissed as shield generators failed sequentially. When Union forces breached the inner defense perimeter, Krax made an unprecedented decision. He activated the ancient protocol of Krulta, ritual combat between leaders to determine victory. Admiral Chen, his transmission interrupted the battle. Your tactics have earned my respect. I invoke Krulta. Single combat will decide this war. Chen understood the implications immediately. By Scourge tradition, the outcome of this duel would be binding on all Scourge forces. Victory would end the war without further bloodshed. The two leaders met on a neutral platform orbiting the Scourge homeworld. Krax towered over Chen, his exoskeletal frame bristling with natural weapons. Chen, partly cybernetic, but still mostly human, appeared hopelessly outmatched. Your species fought admirably, Krax said, circling his opponent, but you remain physically inferior. Chen didn't waste breath responding. As Krax lunged with lightning speed, Chen didn't attempt to match the alien's strength. Instead, he redirected the force, a technique from Earth's martial arts dating back thousands of years. The battle continued for nearly an hour. Krax's superior strength and natural weapons were countered by Chen's unpredictable fighting style, combining dozens of Earth's combat traditions. When Chen finally landed the decisive blow, exploiting a vulnerability in Scourge exoskeletal anatomy that Legion scientists had identified, the watching Scourge commanders fell into stunned silence. In the aftermath, the Scourge civilization faced an unprecedented situation: defeat. Their rigid hierarchy collapsed with their leader's fall. The Galactic Union offered terms that integrated rather than destroyed them, another concept alien to their binary worldview. 3 years later, Admiral Chen stood before the inaugural class of the Galactic Military Academy on a rebuilt Earth. Before him sat cadets from 32 species, including reformed Scourge. A young Arcturian raised a tentacle. Admiral, how did humans, a species from a backwater planet, manage to save the galaxy? Chen smiled. The universe expected us to think like everyone else. Our strength was that we never learned how.